Hi. I had a comment on one of my other YouTube videos of PySimple GUI uh, tips videos that I did on updating elements, and a fellow named Kurt left me a message saying that he was trying to update his screen once a second um, with like a temperature device from a measurement from temperature device, and he wanted trying to get it to show up on the PS on a PySimple GUI screen. So um, I figured the easiest way to do it was to show an example code. I've used this a couple times, but I just wrote a simple code that he can reproduce, and then I'm going to put it on GitHub at the end of this. So it's fairly easy to do with PySimple GUI, and as long, like I say, I don't know whether he's using uh, um, Raspberry Pi, using the Python on that, where he has the uh, I/O ports, or whether he's getting it through a microcontroller connected through to a PC through a serial interface or whatever. But I'm not worried about. He says he's already able to get the measurements, but so I figured I'd just show the GUI side of it. So anyhow, let's get to the code. So it's really simple code, just 24 lines of code here. And like I said, we're importing PySimple GUI as SG. And I told him that, and I commented on his comment that probably the best way to use was to use threading. And of course, he wanted to do it once a second. So we need time, import time as well. If he's got sensors, if he's using a Raspberry Pi, I'm sure he's got other packages that he probably has to import as well. But this is just for the simple. And I'm sort of faking a temperature reading by just iterating, updating a counter each time through this uh, function, um, just adding one to it basically. So we'll start down here. This is our going to be our thread that we're going to run until we, as long as the program is running, this thread's going to run. So we have the simplest layout you can make probably is just a text box to display the reading. And I just made it a little bit bigger font on it, that's all. And then you have to make sure you enable events, because we're going to use an event to it. Actually, I'm not sure we need that in there, but I usually enable events true for things. This is more if you click on it, so that's probably not needed in there, maybe. So anyhow, and then we just have an exit button. And then, like I said, the way you do a PySimple GUI, you just use this list of lists to create your layout, and then you just create your window with this using the title, and then just passing in layout as well. And since we want to do this all the time, we want to be, after we make our window, we can start our thread that we want. And like I say, our target is read sensor, which is this function up here. We're not worried about any arguments passing in, but we do want the daemon equal true, so that when the main program stops, that it'll kill the thread as well. And then you just use this dot start, so you don't have to have a separate line to start it. So we just saying dot start, and that's all you basically do. And then what this is going to start, that before we get to our loop here, it's going to go up there and it's going to initialize the CT, the counter, at 0, and then it's just going into a while true loop where it's incrementing the counter, and then we're doing this write event value to the we're creating this uh, PySimple GUI has this option where you can create a event of your own, and where you just give it a name, and then you pass in the value of that event. So then when this happens, when this gets executed in your thread, it gets passed into the main GUI thread, and uh, it'll trigger an event when you do this. So that's going to work well for us. And then he said he wanted to do it every 1 second, so we're just sleeping and then looping through it again. Like I said, if he was going to read his sensor, this is where he would do it instead of just incrementing a counter. He could initialize his sensor and um, do whatever, read it however he's going to read it in here, and then instead of passing CT to here, you'd have to pass, you know, whatever value. Of course, at some point you're going to have to change it to a string. You could do it here, or you could do it down in later in the program, but it's just easy to create the string here. So we're making a string of the count, and that's what we're passing back as the value. So in our while, that's like I say, this is a separate thread up here, so that's going to continue operating on its own. And like I said, the time.sleep's not going to stop our code, the main thing of the code. And your GUI will be responsive to the pressing the exit, or if you had it add more stuff to it, that it would, you know, be responsive, because the thread is going to take care of itself. So this is just the basic boilerplate for a while, you know, for the GUI read loop or whatever, event loop they call it. And it's just a while true. And the very first thing is this windows.read, and you're getting an event and values. And when you have nothing in this, you have it, it's a what they call a blocking event. So our main thread is going to stop here and wait for something to happen. That could be pressing the exit key in this case, or every 1 second, this is going to create the event up here, and then the event will be done. So then, like I said, this is the boilerplate stuff with your exit button. The wing closed is the red X in the corner on that, or you hit the exit button, either one. And that's just going to break you out of the program. And like I said, because we made it a daemon thread, that it would stop the program and stop the thread. But if our event happens to be sensor read, which is what we're calling our event that we created up here, if the event is that, then we can get the value of that over here, values dot sensor read, and that return whatever our value up that we're passing up here. And we're updating the reading. So if you noticed, I put the key of reading up here. You have to make sure you have a key for your text box. And so it's going to do this window reading. So it's saying in our window, the element reading, we want to update the value to whatever the new value is. And it's as simple as that. So we can go ahead and run it and show how it's working. It's really simple. Like I say, it's a small thing. We created a sensor display up here, but the box, I didn't set the size of the box, so we're not doing that. So you can see that all we're doing is we're doing nothing in this loop until our thread is just creating this event every 1 second with the incremented value of count. So it just keeps going up, and then basically you just exit out of it whenever you want to. It's going to kill the main program, get rid of the GUI, and then it's going to kill the thread as well. Anyhow, that's what that's the program. I'll put this, and like I say, all you need is PySimple GUI. It has nothing to do with whatever sensor he's got, but he could run this just as it is. I'll link to it in the description of the video to where you can get it on the GitHub, my GitHub account. So anyhow, if you have any questions, Kurt, I'm happy to answer them. You can either leave a message on this thread or any thread. All right, thanks. Bye.